Great. Does it show the screen? Hello, everyone. We're still waiting for all the attendees to join. Thank you for your time and thank you for your patience. Does it switch? All right, we can start. Thank you all for your time and for being here today for the Ecochain Helix live demo. Today we're going to walk you through what Ecochain can do with the Ecochain Helix software, making LCAs and EPDs and environmental footprints at scale. I'm your host today. I'm Sam Dijkshoorn, account executive at Ecochain, now for almost 3 years, where I mainly help our customers and potential customers understand our offering and what the software can do. So without further ado, let's dive into the agenda. So first, we're going to start with an introduction to Ecochain, our services, why companies choose Ecochain Helix, a live demonstration of the software, what an implementation looks like in terms of timeline, and the roadmap, followed by a Q&A to close the session. So Ecochain itself is a software-based company located in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, established in 2011. And we have customers globally, currently in more than 25 different countries. We mainly work for manufacturers in the construction sector, but also for other manufacturers in various sectors, currently in food and beverages, electronics, packaging, and more. We provide two solutions for that. One is called the Helix software, which we focus on today, making LCAs at scale. And we have another solution called Mobius, which is more of a easy to use LCA software for R&D teams to reduce environmental impacts. Currently, we have around 90 employees and we're still growing, and we have calculated millions of footprints at this moment. These are some of our customers that we work with, just to show you the variety that we currently have. As you can see, there are customers in construction, in food and beverages, and medical appliances even. So basically companies that manufacture products, mostly at large scale. And we personally love this quote at Ecochain because it ties in with making LCAs. So it states that continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. What this basically means is that companies usually want to have a perfect footprint made with perfect data. However, we do not live in a perfect world. Therefore, it's better to start with making LCAs and then iteratively improve the process, improve the data in order to get to perfection, but starting off with good. That is why this quote is so powerful for LCAs and creating EPDs. So how do we help companies? So the 90 or 90 plus employees of Ecochain are mostly environmental specialists that help our customers understand the software and also provide LCA, EPD, and footprinting services. So as you can see here on the screen, my screen is on the right side, so that's why I'm looking at the right. We can see there's a full implementation. That is A. So here we help companies with the full journey of providing them with the software and providing them with the end results being environmental footprints. We have B, LCA and EPD creation, mainly focusing around training, where we provide training based on LCAs, EPDs, or environmental footprints, and also the verification part. And lastly, you can just purchase the software and work with the software yourselves without any type of support. So why? Why do companies work with Ecochain Helix? And why is it so powerful? I think this graph states that on the right side, you have a more generic LCA solution where you work product per product. You make LCAs one by one. This is how LCAs basically started, until companies started having the challenges of making multiple footprints. So what happens when a company asks a software provider, can you make 500 LCAs verified in a short period of time? Essentially, that will be impossible if you have to do that one by one, as stated here on the right side, because you have to make products, LCAs from the product itself, and you have to verify each product range or product group one by one every time. So that's why the Helix software is so powerful, because we assess it not by product, but on a top-down allocation model, which we start at the top on the left side, and we start at the factory with 100% of the emissions coming from the supply chain and coming from the facility, allocated towards the processes, and then from processes to products, enabling companies to make hundreds or even thousands of footprints in a short period of time. And we will show the timelines later. And this is how it would look like. So here we have a chocolate facility making chocolate bars. And we can see a very simple representation of 100% of electricity at the company level being allocated to chocolate melting, to hazelnut roasting, and then towards the processes or towards the products. So you can see this is a very simple representation, but essentially we can do this for up to hundreds or thousands of products. And this allows us also to have one third-party verification to completely verify all the products in one facility, meaning with one verification, you can have third-party audited life cycle assessments, EPDs, or footprints at scale. So now we're entering the Helix software. First, I'm going to explain how it looks like and what it can do, and what we're looking at right now. And after that, we'll show you and guide you through the process and the data collection. So as we can see here, we have Ecochain Helix. We're in the year 2021 of a virtual asphalt mill. So it's a construction facility, and they make asphalt mixtures. And this is what the software looks like if you want to create 20 products from one facility. So on the left side, you can see 100% of the total usages and emissions from one production year, the year 2021. There's gas, there's electricity, and there's diesel. That is being allocated towards the internal processes of this asphalt mill, being heating, evaporating, overheating, bitumen heating, and more. And these processes, they need to be allocated towards products in mass. And that is the last step, as we can see here. So before going into the results, we're showing you how we structure the data. So all of the data can be imported through an Excel import file. So there's one master data collection sheet, which we need to populate before entering into the system. So for the sake of the exercise, let's say we fill that in, and you have provided us with all of the data from the facility itself. So all the diesel, all the electricity, and all the other gases or fuels that you use in order to make the processes work. We allocate that in the software to environmental data sets, emission factors. So we select, for example, here the gas. We attribute that to a natural gas industrial Dutch environmental data set, as this is a Dutch asphalt mill. We can comment on why we've chosen this data set. We'll get into that later. And the populated field of the total amount through Excel. Once we have selected that, it will provide us with the emission factors, meaning the environmental impact, being CO2. But this could also be any other impact category in the LCA standard that you use. So once we've done that acquisition and we've provided environmental data sets for these fields, we move on to the supply chain. So this page is where you upload all the materials that you use over a full year in order to make the products. So once we filled it in with the weights based on kilos, tons, liters, whatever you use, we will allocate that again to a data set from example databases. It could also be primary data. If you want to use supplier data, we can work with that. We can add that to the software. You can then select it here, or work with our external databases like Ecochain and many others. So we apply the same structure here. You select the right material, you look for the right data set or primary data, you press add, and that will provide us with a number on impact, so a footprint. We'll go over all the materials. So this part is where you put in all the materials allocated. And as the next step, these materials need to be supplied from the supplier to your manufacturing site. So again, this will be populated through Excel. And then the only thing we have to do is add the data set for the transporting type, for example, by ship. We select the right data set that will be reflecting your actual ship transportation. We add that to the software. And then once this is complete, looking back at the model, we now have 100% of the total impact of the facility. So this left side here is completed. Now we need to work on the allocation. So how do we allocate this left part to the internal processes of the facility? So the software itself is custom. So the real goal here is to make a reflection of your actual facility so we can customize the processes. In this case, there's a lot of heating, different types of heating, different types of evaporation, and mixing, again, bitumen heating. And these all require electricity, gas, or any other types of emissions. So you fill in the process names to reflect the actual facility. And as the next step, we distribute then the usages and emissions we earlier defined over the processes. And that can be on percentages, that can be on weights. We can customize that if it's a little bit more complicated and stated in percentages or weights. And we allocate the 100% to all the processes. So looking back at the model, currently we have now completed this part. So we have completed the left side, 100% of the total emissions. We have allocated that to the internal processes of the facility. And now it's the last part for the cradle to gate LCAs, which are the products. And this starts similar as all the other parts with Excel. You populate all these fields, so all of the products we will upload through Excel. You can use your own product names. So if your system uses a different name, you can customize this as well. And we can then add a functional unit, meaning if you want to make LCAs per kilo, per tons, per liters, or per actual unit of the product. This means that we can also group certain products or exclude grouping from certain products, therefore making individual LCAs. So once the field is populated, we move on to how many times these products have been produced in order to make the mass balance of the first 100% correct. And now we're entering the compositions page. These are the bills of materials of all the products that you make out of a facility in 1 year. And this is where the automation really shines. As we can see here, in the asphalt mixture 1, we can see there's bitumen, there's crushed limestone, there's sand, recycled filler, weak filler, and sand from river. And we've previously allocated that to the right environmental emissions in the purchasing page. Therefore, you only have to upload your bill of materials, and then the software will automatically connect all the materials to the right environmental data points. So it doesn't matter if you have 10 products or 500 or even thousands, because you can just upload your bill of materials and the software will do the rest in connecting that to the environmental numbers. So this really helps scaling up the process instead of doing that one by one, as stated earlier. And as a final step for the cradle to gate LCAs, we have the process allocation towards the products. For this asphalt mill, it's very custom. So let me show you how that looks like. Here, the processes have been customized based on production amount, temperature of the minerals, which includes the weights of certain materials. Therefore, having a very detailed process to product allocation. However, this can be simplified by just working with the total production weight, production amount, or by percentages. Stating back to the quote from earlier, you can work with imperfect data to start off with. For the last time looking back at the model, now we have completed this entire model. We've completed the Sankey diagram. We've allocated everything. And this ties into the verification process, which I'll be sharing a little bit more detailed version of in a later stage. But for now, keep in mind that if a third party would verify the system, they would verify the entire tool, therefore verifying the facility as a whole, which will help scale up the process of creating these verified LCAs. So we send out one background report for the facility, and once that is verified, you will have verified LCAs or EPDs of every product in that particular facility. The usual verification is between 2,000 and 6,000 euros for the entire facility. So that will give you a huge cost reduction, but also reduction in time. Now we're looking at the results. So we went through the inputs, we went through the structure of the software, and this is where you can find then the impact per product. So we can look at the cradle to gate, which we've done now. There are some additional features to also include the full life cycle, to include the use and end of life phase. You can look at singular products, or as some products are made more often than others, we can look at the most emitting products from the facility over a full year. So if I scroll down, let me zoom in a little bit. We can see two different asphalt mixers. We're looking at it through CO2. However, we can also switch to any other impact category of the LCA if you like. And we can see this detailed graph. So the green part, these are the materials that you use in order to make the product. So basically the supply chain. The orange part are the processes. So how much of a process emits when you make the product, and how does that compare to the other ones? And then the gray part is the transport. We can then also compare these with each other throughout the entire production facility and all the products, also for materials. Moving on, we have a supply chain analysis, which shows the impact per material that you procure over a full year. So this is basically all the materials that you have in the facility in order to make the final products, and then a distribution of impact. Also a process overview. So which process emits the most emissions? Is that heating, evaporation, electricity, or maybe also some other processes? Followed by a total impact of the facility based on the scope 1, 2, and 3, where you have the same sunburst diagram, where you can dive a little bit deeper into, for example, the downstream scope. And one very interesting functionality is that you can compare this. So you can compare certain years with each other. So in this scenario, we basically stated what would happen to our emissions if we would use more greener electricity instead of our own natural consumption of electricity that we previously used. How much would that decrease or increase our environmental impact. So you can create scenarios where we copy a year and then you can alter the model. So that ties into how can we reduce the product's impact if we change the supplier? Or what if we change one process to maybe a newer machine? How much would it influence the product's impact, but also the total facility impact? So it helps you forecast in great detail. Also showing then the impact for the company based on the GHG protocol. So here we have scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3, and the factors or categories for just goods and services, category 4, 9, 11, and 12. And we can add more. Going back to the product. So you might be thinking, all right, so I have the LCAs. I have done a verification. How do I share then these numbers? Because you might not want to share the whole LCA. You might want to share a part. Therefore, we have some unique outputs of the Helix software, which is called an environmental profile. So if I click on the environmental profile, it will generate a document. This document shows then stages of the LCA, in this case cradle to gate, and the end of life. The product being the bitumen mixture, the unit being a ton, so functional unit, the manufacturer that eventually being you if you work with the software, the standards being used, types of database being used, if it's verified, yes or not, and then the impact. So this type of document is used, almost every customer of ours is using this type of document to share with their customers if they do not want to share or make a full EPD, or if they don't want to share the LCA, but just want to show the figures of the product itself. But next to this document, we also have EPD templates. So once we have gone through the verification, you can see that the screen wouldn't load it. We can share that afterwards, how that would look like. But this is basically how it works. So we start at the verification at scale. We create an EPD report based upon the EPD platform that you want to use. Could also be that you only want to share basically the LCA or a product carbon footprint. And we externally review the LCA background report for the whole facility, but also the EPD reports individually in one go. So this is the 2,000 to 6,000 euros I'm talking about previously. This can be done on one factory, or we can sometimes even include multiple factories into one verification if processes are alike, but usually per facility. Then we used an optimized EPD generation, ECF or LCA generation, and you're ready to publish then the results. So this is for at scale publishing or generation. Sometimes when you do this verification, you might change some products, or the products are valid for 5 years. So in 5 years, a lot can change. So once an LCA has been changed and you want to re-upload, the verification party only has to check the changes. So we still have the old verified model, and then the new fees or the new time that is needed in order to re-verify will be significantly lower than the first verification, to accommodate for changes that you want to make in future facilities. So how long does this take? We're mentioning that it's fast, efficient, and at scale. Here we have a generic implementation. And this is where we help. So this is where we help the customer in creating the LCAs and EPDs. And our LCA specialist will guide them along the way. So here we have the kickoff starting in January, followed by data collection, which is usually the largest part of the implementation. as we have the least amount of control over data collection and could also be the most complicated part. So here's where we provide a lot of guidance, but it also takes the longest time. After receiving data collection, we provide the data modeling. So we will populate the Helix fields, allocate that to the right environmental data sets as stated through the inputs, and then complete the entire model. And after that, do the factory verification or multiple factory verification to provide you with hundreds or even thousands of verified lifecycle assessments or EPDs. Typical implementation usually is between 4 to 6 months. Can also be longer if you include multiple facilities, but can also be shorter if you're having very simple processes, or if your data collection is on point and you have very fast data collection, then we can reduce the time that is needed in order to 1 to 2 months. This is the current system, but we're also progressing fast and we're wanting to keep providing value and also make it easier for companies to work with the software. So how does the future of Helix look like? So currently we're working on stability, security, and still providing the scalability options that it can provide. So we're working on custom EPD templates where we can provide EPDs for a very customized program operator or through very customized industries like asphalt. We're working on that right now. We're working on providing single sign-on for the users. And on soon, we will be able to provide import APIs to make it easier for the data collection to populate the fields in Excel. But then moving away from Excel to an API to directly upload it to the tool. And also export API for all, again, customized reporting. Later, we're looking at unified user management, easier data collection, improved notifications when providing errors in the software, more product comparisons between sites, and an updated results page to highlight more comparability between products. So before we go into the Q&A, we wanted to provide you with some more value, where you will be able to get a free consultation of half an hour after this webinar at your own convenience to talk to one of our experts and see if we might be able to help, or if you want to know more details about pricing and want to customize a potential offer. So feel free to use that. You're able to use it at your own time, and we can find a spot in order to provide you with a free consultation. And it's only for the people who attended the webinar. Right. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. I received a question from Christian. Thank you, Christian, for the question. As a consulting engineer, I'm working rather in project than products. Using our consulting on the use of product and materials, can we use Ecochain in the same way for a project? How you just presented in the software where we're working on the production facility? The answer is basically no. This software is highly customizable, but mainly for production facilities or making a digital twin of a production facility. So it doesn't tie into the needs of providing project LCAs. Our other tool, Mobius, would be very well used, or as a nice use case for projects rather than doing it through the Helix software. I hope that answers the questions. Thank you for that. Also see another question coming in regarding sensitivity analysis. The software is able to do sensitivity analysis on all the calculations that you make within the software. So you can do that for products, for different materials. anywhere you'd like to do the analysis. A new question is coming in regarding where it is hosted. So this is a web-based software as a service software tool. Sorry. So you can access it through our website. You can directly log in, and it's mainly hosted through AWS, so Amazon Web Services, which hosts our services. It's very secure. We've never had a data leak so far. So you'll be able to access the software everywhere, but it's not an on-premise software. I see a question that if the software is applicable for the companies which have suppliers in China. Definitely. So with the software, going back to the purchasing page, if the supplier will be able to provide you with details of their product or with an environmental footprint, we'll be able to use their details in your calculation if they supply anything from China to you. So you'll be able to use that actual data in your own calculations. However, if a supplier itself wants to use the software, we can connect your data and integrate that into both of the models. So your suppliers would also be able to use the same software to create more accurate supply chains. I hope that also answers the questions and gives you some more details about it. Another question from how external verifiers can access the software for the verification. Yes. So the verifiers, they will be able to look at all the points that you've entered in the software and will be able to lock it. So here you can see this little lock. Once we lock it, they will not be able to alter the data. So the verification party can come into the software, gain access only if you give us permission, and the verification party has the permission to go into the software. We invite them, and they will be able to review every part of the software. And after that, we can of course keep it locked so to not alter the verified model, or unlock it again if we need to make changes based on the feedback. Another question, is there a demo software that companies can try? We do have a demo. So we have a trial version, which you will be able to see and use the read-only version of. If you are interested in having a trial version or a demo account, feel free to book the free consultation. Then we can open it for you and provide you with this demo account according to your needs. All right, moving further. This is a long question. We manufacture roofing sheets, which may be attached to other products during installation, like nails, externally sourced, and aluminium bars during installation. How do we account for these accessories in the LCA for our product? That's a good question. So basically, your product itself is a roofing sheet. However, in order to install the product, we need more materials. So what you can do is you can create multiple LCAs. So you can create one for just the roofing sheet. Some of your customers probably will need that. And you can create a scenario where you will also include all the other accessories attached to the final product on the installation site, meaning the attached accessories like nails or any other type of material that you use. So what it would look like is you will have then, let's say, 3 products, one roofing material sheet, just the sheet, one with nails, and one with other accessories that you will use. So you're able to create multiple products, as the software doesn't have limits in the amount of products that you can make. It's also quite easy to make multiple. All right, I think we have covered a lot of the questions currently. So let me get back to the slides. I want to thank you all for your time today and also for your attention during the webinar. I hope to see you during the free consultation. If you're interested, then we can have a chat regarding your specific requirements, and we can have a deep dive into how we tackle that directly with the software, as the software is highly customizable. And we can, of course, provide you all the details regarding implementation and also pricing for providing everything or providing you with the training. So again, thank you so much for your time. It was great to be your host today, and hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.